Welcome to the Ottawa Business Journal's live broadcast of Employee Retention That Actually Works. I'm Michael Curran from OBJ. Thank you for joining us today. We are live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn, and it's going to be another great show. Today, we're talking about a real bread and butter issue for business owners and managers. And I think it's an issue that many people are struggling with today. If you want my opinion, this issue is getting even more complex as time passes, and that's particularly true in this post-pandemic work environment. The issue I'm referring to is employee retention. Today, we're going to not only talk about the problem, we're going to focus on some really practical solutions. I'm sure there's going to be lots of takeaways for all of you joining us. And ultimately, we're going to let you know why employee retention is so critical to your business success. It's time to meet our guest now. This company has a remarkable brand reputation in our region and across Canada. In fact, I'm guessing that many of you have used their services over the years. When you've got a problem, this organization is there to help you. That's been true for decades when it comes to auto coverage. It's now true for business. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Please welcome the CEO of CAA North and East Ontario. Here is Mr. Jeff Walker. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us. It's great to be with such a fantastic company that's, like I said, has been in the business of helping people. Like when people got a problem, they call your organization, Jeff, and you find solutions. And Jeff, I want you to share the big news that is just a few weeks old. So when people think of CAA, they naturally think of auto, but they need to completely rethink their sense of CAA. Tell us why.
Well, it's interesting because over the last 5 or 6 years, CAA, the CAA that all Canadians know, has been evolving. We've been really leveraging the trust that people have in us and introducing a whole bunch of new business lines and new value in the consumer space. And it became obvious to us and a bit odd to us in a way. We asked ourselves, well, why can't we give and bring some of that trust and some of that value that we give to consumers? Why can't we do that for business? And so we decided to launch a whole new category, a whole new type of membership called CA Business, with 4 business lines under it and a whole array of benefits for business. And one of the key parts of how important it is that we do it at a really reasonable price. That is our goal, is to give great value at a great price for all of the services that we're offering under the CA Business banner.
Yeah, I like what you said there. There is an entire array of services. We're going to look at that as we're actually wrapping up the show. But we're actually going to surprise some people potentially by talking about how CAA might help with, as I said, an HR issue. So this is really cool. We're exploring using all your business savvy and your expertise over the year, and a great partner. We have one of your great partners is going to join us sometime around 12:20, Jeff. But yeah, you're going to help people. Let's just think about this for a second. Companies with employee retention through some practical tips here and a benefits program. Give us a little bit more info on that.
So bottom line is that our program, CA Business, is going to offer 4 business lines. One is commercial insurance. So for you're a small business, you've got a building, you've got vehicles, etc. You need to insure them. We're going to be there as a trusted partner and give really good value to you. We're offering a group benefits offering through our partner Sterling. Sterling is proven to be an organization that is really, really good at the shorthand I always give, Michael, is these guys do big business benefits for small and medium businesses to level the playing field between what sometimes big organizations can do and what the smaller organizations have historically been able to do. The 2 other things that we're doing, one is roadside assistance for small business. So if you're a company, you've got 12 trucks driving around, they break down right now, what do you do? Who do you call? It's complicated. Now it's easy. And the last thing is that we're offering our pit crew. Pit crew service for those who aren't a member. If you are a member, you probably already know, but we show up in your driveway, we change your tires, we change your oil, change your windshield wipers, do all that stuff for you as a consumer. And we're just introducing that to all the small businesses in our area.
That's awesome. So listen, we got a jam-packed show. We're going to take a look at our agenda. In our topic number one, we're going to talk about the high cost of employee turnover for small business. In topic number two, we're going to talk about how to reduce turnover by making employees happy. Think about that, Jeff. We're going to make employees happy. That sounds like a good idea. And third, and this is when our partner is going to come on, we're going to talk about the importance of a strong group benefits plan. Sometime around 12:25 for our live audience on YouTube and LinkedIn, we're going to be looking for your questions. And just a reminder, you don't have to wait till 12:25. If we're talking and you've got a question, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on LinkedIn, just ask the question and our producers will bring it to our attention. And we'll get to those sometime around 12:25. All right, let's jump in with both feet here, Jeff. The first topic is the high cost of employee turnover for small business. And let me set this up a little bit for you. Most businesses in Ottawa, in my estimation, I think yours too, Jeff, are small businesses, sometimes micro businesses.
Yep.
And, we all know about the potential threat from retention, but I think when you've got a 5-person shop, a 10-person shop, and you lose an employee, that's just like not, one fewer extension on the phone tree. That means you've lost someone who's on the front lines. You have customers waiting. You have revenue at risk. You likely have your managers trying to do their job. So just as we set this up, Jeff, this isn't a small issue. Like losing an employee for most Ottawa businesses can be a really big deal. Jeff, what does turnover like that feel like on the ground? Tell us a little bit more.
So I think it feels much harder than it might seem on paper. I often talk to people about things that we read about in the academic sphere and things that we understand in the day-to-day of running a business. And one of those things that there's a significant gap when we're talking about turnover is what I call institutional memory. When your team and the folks that work for you, whether they're in the front line or even if they're some mid-level, they're managers, whatever they might be, when they just disappear on you, institutional memory goes away. And when that happens, all these little, how do we do it? How do we get stuff done? Tricks. Sometimes I call it the low rodent cunning of the business goes away. New people have to start all over again, trying to figure stuff out. Real challenge, far greater cost to companies and small businesses than they realize. Second thing is, if you're like CAA, you depend on customer satisfaction. It's the lifeblood of the whole thing. Having super high customer satisfaction is equated directly to trust. And what of course happens when you have turnover of really great long-standing staff, a lot of times customer satisfaction can fall off. Not because the new people aren't trying to figure out, but that they just don't know how to do things quite the right way yet. And so that's a real risk. Or worse, the old person leaves and you don't have a new person for a little while. And so all of a sudden, a bunch of other people in your organization have to do 2 jobs for a period of time, sometimes longer periods of time than we want. That also becomes a problem because not only have you got a problem with the person who left, now you've put additional stress on the existing group of people that work for you. It can be a real problem. And then when you layer all that onto the real hard stuff, which is that, guess what? If you're, as you said, a 12-person organization, you go down to 11 or 10 people for a bit of time. Guess what happens? The leaders have to step in usually and take care of a whole bunch of on-the-ground operational things that really impede them from being able to even think 6 months or a year in advance about a new product or a new service or a new way of doing things, because they're just trying to keep the lights on. So it has a whole series of kind of in the moment and then long-term effects on organizations when you've got significant employee turnover in a small business.
Yeah, I love lots of the points you made there. Managers stepping in, processes that are potentially undocumented, trying to stretch your existing team further. It even occurs to me the onboarding process, Jeff, like sometimes there's a hit operationally, but then that onboarding process just sucks time from
100%.
other people as well.
You
And we
think
can't
about-
expect people to be onboarded over, like I always say at OBJ, I don't know if this is accurate for other businesses, it takes a year. Like you got to be here for a year to understand what the heck's going on. But that's a that's a painful process, isn't it, Jeff? Like this is a really fundamental issue we're talking about here today.
It really is. It's one of those areas that really gaps between large companies and small and medium guys. Usually a large company has a whole crew of HR people and training people and whatever to do that kind of onboarding stuff. Small and medium guys don't. And so it's usually left to whoever a handful of the leadership people are to kind of, again, off the side of their desk, make sure they teach the new person who's shown up, yeah, here's how we do this, here's how we do that. And inevitably, right, there's going to be gaps.
People leave for all sorts of reasons. You know, we've heard, although the HR people dispute this, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's, you know, a difficult relationship with a supervisor or boss. But let's talk about company culture a little bit, because sometimes organizations, companies aren't healthy. Their culture gets a little, I'm going to use the word cancerous or toxic. And that is maybe a little bit of a sign that if you've got that type of culture and you're not addressing it, then you know what's going to follow that, excuse me, is turnover. Tell us a little bit about how company culture can affect that retention rate, Jeff.
I think it all starts with really truly understanding why people leave. You know, most exits aren't about giant pay gaps. Most of the time people want to actually just be connected and close to the quote unquote family of people they work with every day, that they will spend even more time with sometimes than their own family. But they have to feel connected to the organization, and feeling that connection has a whole bunch of issues if you don't do it right. One of the things that is important that we see, and we've seen part of the reason why we started a partnership in benefits, is that benefits need to fit people's life. Right? 3/4 of Canadian employees, they say they're going to stay at an organization if their benefits are comprehensive and if those benefits are personalized to them. What they want is a benefits plan that fits their stage of life, you know, not one size fits all plans. Mental health, that's another key component. More and more people want and need mental health benefits, either for them or sometimes for their family members if they're also on the benefits plan. 1 in 3 Canadians would actually leave the organization they work at now for better mental health benefits. Lots of organizations have added mental health benefits, but lots have not. It's an important thing we really believe in as an important aspect of mitigating turnover. Recognition. I cannot state enough how important recognition is. And again, it isn't always a dollar value thing. Sometimes it's just having somebody shout you out in front of the whole company or in front of all the staff, or in some form or function, recognize stuff that they've done, accomplishments they've done day to day in the job that have made a difference to the organization. That's how you make people feel connected to the organization. That's how you make people feel like they're part of a team where we're working together on things. And those are some of the things, when you don't have them, you often have potential risk of turnover.
Yeah, I like it. Jeff, we're making great progress. We've got lots to cover still. We're going to head to topic number 2. Just a reminder again, if you're watching live, please get your questions, whether you're on YouTube or LinkedIn. We'll have an opportunity to get to some of them. I love this topic number 2, reduce turnover by making employees happy. And, you know, there may be some people reading that say, well, that's really trite. Like what the heck does that mean? But I think there's some value of just reflecting a little bit on happiness. And again, I was just referencing the post-pandemic environment where I think people are feeling a lot of stress, a lot of strain, a lot of mental health issues, and they're feeling just kind of stuck a little bit. So I guess the question is, Jeff, what are some concrete ideas to make employees happy?
I think one of the very important things is to make sure that people the work feels easier and things feel brighter day to day. You know, sometimes organizations, you can get into a rut of asking people to do more and more and more and more all the time. You know, sometimes it's great to just be able to just take the reins off a little bit, have some fun sessions where you're just brainstorming about the big picture, the longer term of the organization, or maybe you're just taking people out for coffee in the middle of the day to chat about things, right? Those are some of the intangible things. there's other things that are important too, like everyday value, for example. In our case at CAA, we give all of our employees memberships, for example. One of the things that we've got under the CAA business banner actually is that a really, really great value employee membership that will be available whether you're a driver or not through these subscribers to CAA business. So it's an easy way to give people value. And as you know well, Michael, because we've talked about this offline a couple times, members save hundreds of dollars per year for the, in some cases, $30 a year they might spend on their everyday membership. They'll save $500, $600, $700 a year on various things that they do in their life. So simple way of making life easy for people, and it's really a very low bar. Some of the other things that are important is commit to education, employee education. So let's say an employee wants to take a weekend course, so they want to sign up for something on one of the online platforms like Coursera or one of those. Some organizations will hesitate to want to do that, but I would say don't. I would say those are the kinds of things to give people a sense that they are making progress, because it is one of the big challenges in a small, medium company is there usually aren't a million slots to move up into in new positions. So at least if you can give them an opportunity to educate, maybe take on a few extra projects, etc., they can feel like they're growing. They can feel like they're taking on something bigger and better and making their career better. So things like that are important. And then, of course, I talked about recognition. If you can add things, for example, to match a little bit extra on people's RSPs. And then one little secret thing that I do, Michael, is that I do little ad hoc bonuses for people. It can be small amounts of money, $250, $500, something like that. But you do things like that for people when they've clearly done something meaningful as a project or an initiative, or they've taken a big initiative, just to say thank you. And it helps them understand that they're valued in the organization.
Yeah, I love so much of what you said there. I'm going to go back to the education development one. And I think this is particularly true for millennials and the generations that follow. There is an eagerness to advance. Sometimes that's not possible from the org chart if you're in a really small company. But I think you touched on something really important there, Jeff, which is just the ability to gain knowledge and get better at your job. And that won't be, the same as a promotion or a different job, but it will satisfy that base need of I'm making progress in my career. And I think you're right on the small perks. Sometimes it's about big things, but sometimes about small things, and a number of small things, like some CAA perks that you mentioned, whether it's saving on gas or that type of stuff, the stuff that just makes your everyday life a little bit easier. And if you're connecting that back to your employer, then there's just a sense of appreciation there, isn't there, Jeff?
100%. I mean, like we have a partnership with the Ottawa Senators where members are able to access hockey tickets at a really reasonable price. And I've heard from a number of people that they had no idea that this benefit was there and how great it is, and they took their brother or their spouse or somebody to a hockey game at a much cheaper price than what you see directly online. It's like, wow, this is a nice add-on benefit. Wasn't expecting it, and a nice thing I can do for somebody. So there's lots of ways that through CA membership, these things can be achieved, and also just little things you can do as a business owner to be able to, or manager to be able to do these things.
That's great stuff. We're making great time, by the way. It's for our live audience. It's 12:20 Eastern. We're going to be coming up to our Q&A session, so please tee up some questions. Jeff, we've referenced benefits several times, but now we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive in topic number 3, the importance of a strong benefits plan. You've already referenced that you think that employee benefits are really key, and you brought a partner on board. We're going to meet him in a second, but set things up for us here, Jeff.
Yeah, literally every hiring conversation I've had of late, candidates ask, A, what does the benefits package look like? B, how personalizable is it? And how easy is it to actually use? I think all of us have been through the labyrinth of a website where you can't figure out heads nor tails of what benefits you actually have available to you. So those 3 things are super important things to be able to have the answer and give the answer to, especially when you're a small business that you need to be able to probably competing with some larger businesses for talent, to be able to package that up and give that to potential candidates as employees. That's super, super important. And so for us, what we said is, hey, we're going to partner with a really successful company based out of Ottawa, Sterling Brokers, and we're going to work with them to be able to make an offer to CA business customers that achieves all three of those goals. So we've been super happy with them so far. They've helped us tighten our plan design, remove overlaps, make the pieces easier to use. We converted over to them a few months ago, and it's been nothing but great.
That's great. I love that you made a local decisions. We're all about buying local here at CAA North and Eastern Ontario and OBJ. Well, let's welcome our expert right now. Here is Andrew Blanchard from Sterling Benefits. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, thanks for having me, folks. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, you're in the closing. My baseball analogy. You're the closer here today.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll hope not to disappoint.
This is going to be a win, though, Andrew. Anyway, I was going to make it Blue Jays joke, but I'll stay. I think we're all too a little bit sensitive still from Saturday night. But
you got it.
Let's get down to brass tacks, Andrew. You're the expert on this, so I think what Jeff said a few minutes ago is really important. There was a time when small businesses could not access great benefits packages, and I think that's changed. So tell us, Andrew, if there's someone watching, if there's a small business owner, what are some of the key benefits that they should be thinking about when they're implementing this type of program?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, and I think you're right. There's still some stigma around, if you're a small business, can you really afford it? Can you get access to great plans and be able to compete with some of the larger space when you're looking at retaining and competing for talent? And that's something that we're really focused on as a firm is, hey, how do we create some leverage for small and mid-sized businesses across Canada? And how do we allow them to compete with great employee benefit plans that they can give to their base of employees and be able to compete from a retention standpoint with some of the larger firms that historically have had access to, better plans or better pricing.
And Andrew, I was just going to say, if you were going to make a bit of a laundry list, sorry to jump in there, if you're going to make a little bit of a laundry list, like what benefits would you be recommending to a small business owner?
It's a good question. And, to allude back to one of Jeff's points, it's a personal decision based on the needs and based on the needs of the organization. So, every business needs to assess their demographics and the needs of their employees and really what industry they're in and what are some of the benchmarks doing in that industry. But, if you're looking at it really from a cost standpoint and trying to tiptoe your way in, a health spending account is a great first step where you can provide some flexibility, typically at a controlled and lower price point. And, the employees get some access to some ability to make decisions around how they disperse and how they use those funds. So that is something we typically tend to advise clients on that are thinking about taking that first step. Obviously, health and dental benefits can be expensive, especially with families and children. That's very popular. The vast majority of our small business clients, when they're talking to us, that's really their first discussion point is around health and dental. Jeff did talk as well. Mental health is something that's more and more important, and more of our clients are asking for guidance and support. And, having strong mental health resources, whether it's proactive or acute type care that's required, is something that we advise our clients to be really thinking about and making sure that their employees have that level of care in their plans. And then, you have paramedicals, very popular, can be, definitely adds some expense. Paramedicals is something that is, from a health and wellness standpoint, is very much appreciated. And then you can go as far to include, short-term and long-term disability. Group retirement is, again, becoming more and more popular around helping your employees think about retirement, think about kind of the end of their career. And, I think one of the things that folks need to just be thinking about as they're looking at instituting a benefits plan is just assessing the needs, really the cost that they can bear as an organization, what that's worth to be able to retain those employees, and then customizing something that's going to resonate with those employees. So again, we often assist and will speak to our clients around it. Just have conversations with your employees. If you're looking at instituting a benefits plan, really ask them around what would be most important to them, what would be most meaningful. And often, employees will let you know what's going to move the needle for them.
I also wanted to ask, Andrew, I think it's really important when you're considering benefits to have the right advisor, because to some degree, based on what I just asked you, it's about where do we start? But it's also about, once programs are up and running, what the renewal is going to look like. And in my experience over the years, companies can start understanding the cost is X, and then they come up to a renewal and it's X times 2 or X times 3.
Yeah.
And it can be a little bit of a surprise. So talk to us about how you need the right advice, Andrew, and how companies might not just be thinking about that step one, but also how to control those renewal costs.
Well, and I think that's very well placed, Michael. Look, sustainability and pricing of a plan is something that's very important. And I'm sure we've all had experiences with renewals and plans, going up in cost. And obviously healthcare cost in most countries, and Canada is no different, is unfortunately not getting cheaper. But you should, from your advisor, you should be really demanding that they're thinking about the long-term sustainability of your plan. If you are getting into a plan at a discount, which can happen if you're getting good pricing in year one, making sure that, as the client, you're well aware of what is the full burden cost going to look like once the plan is kind of up and running and in kind of a fully funded mode. And if you are, in fact, budgeting a discount in the first year, that's fine. But just having that awareness and ensuring that as the client, you are being given that advice and given that information from your advisor. I think the other very important thing is your advisor. You should be holding your advisor accountable to be giving you at the very minimum a mid-year review, if not a quarterly review, of how is the plan trending? What does the utilization look like? And if there are some, higher cost drugs or higher utilization across some of the plan, being able to help you prepare for what does that next renewal look like? And are there things that we can do together to be able to adjust and accommodate for a renewal that is going to be more palatable, but while still maintaining the coverages and the plans that you're looking for, while having some sort of certainty in terms of, financial and budgeting purposes. So I think constant communications, tracking of industry trends, tracking of how the plan is performing and the utilization on your plan, and making sure that you have that awareness is something as a consumer you should be demanding from your advisor.
Okay, that's great. We're going to shift, gentlemen. We're getting towards the end of the show. We still have lots of time. We're going to shift into our Q&A session, and maybe the first one is for you, Andrew. You mentioned HSA, health savings accounts.
Health spending accounts.
Health spending accounts, excuse me. I think one of the things that's interesting about that we're want to ask about is the flexibility. Can you speak to like the level, the ability to custom for employees to make the decisions effectively on that spending account? Is that right?
Correct. Yes, there's definitely some discretion, and I won't get into the kind of taxable or non-taxable types of spending accounts that you can have, whether it's a health spending account or a wellness spending account. But there is some detail there, and obviously happy to follow up with anybody that has questions. But being able to have a health spending account, typically the way that it would function is it's funded with a set amount per annum for each employee. And then there's a certain category of types of expenses that they can use that towards. But then they can use that, whether it's vision or whether it's hearing, whether it's paramedical. They can allocate the funds based on the needs that they have as an employee. So it is a good tool, and it can be a complement to an existing plan to, again, add incremental flexibility. Or, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of small businesses that are looking to kind of take that first step, it can be a lower and more controlled cost measure to take as a first step and put that in place, and then and then see as you continue to grow and mature your business, be able to put a fully insured plan in place with maybe incremental benefit lines.
Okay. Jeff, I want to come back to you, and this might be our last question, but Jeff, you had, underlined why you think benefits are so important. And I think if I was reading between the lines a little bit, maybe you could elaborate, it's not only the benefits, it's the sense of caring, if I could put it that way,
Yep.
Jeff, that benefits communicate back to the employees. Like, we just don't only care about you between 9 and 5. We care about your health. We care about your family. Talk to us a little bit about like kind of the psychological message, if I could put it that way, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and two signals of care that I'm going to put forth. One, Andrew made the point, sound out your employees. Talk to them about the things that mean something to them in terms of benefits. Sometimes the folks that are working in concert with the brokers may or may not have a great handle on what some of those folks on the front lines might need. So sounding them out, and the exercise of sounding them out shows that you care. That's a critical thing to our point of view. The second thing is to make sure that you do find a way of having personalization built in. I was thinking myself about, I've had to have a whole bunch of extra physiotherapy the last couple of years. I did something to my shoulder and it's just not been right. And it's been great to be able to have a healthcare spending account so that I can spend extra on physio, because I personally have had to have physio, whereas I haven't had to get new glasses in a while. So again, when you're doing those kinds of things, you're sending a message to your small business employees who you would all know by name, that you care about them, that you understand that they have unique needs, and that you can actually take care of them within your benefits plan.
I really like that. Listen, Andrew, we're going to keep Jeff with us, but we're going to bid you adieu. Andrew, we want to thank you for popping on in our closer position here and providing our expert advice on benefits. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, everyone.
And for everyone, we'll be sending out contact information for both Jeff and Andrew after this. Jeff, we're going to start wrapping up here. And I think we're going to bring our graphic here on screen that just gives people a bit of a visual about CAA business, because really you've built this like 360 thing that businesses can buy into as a member.
Yep.
Walk us through a few of these things here, Jeff. You referenced some of them, by the way.
Yeah. So what we found when we were talking to small businesses, because of course, as we just were alluding to, we talk to organizations that might end up being customers. And what we heard from people is some organizations have challenges in regard to group benefits that they really want solved. Mm-hmm. Others need a roadside service offering. Others just got their bill for commercial insurance and saw a huge increase and want to be able to have a different trusted partner to be able to work with. So the idea of CA business membership is, it's a doorway in, $99 a year, and you get access to the benefits in any of these business lines. And in addition to that, there are these other, we'll call them benefits for business, whether they're in media or through our friends at Bell Media, or they're in travel insurance, et cetera. So we've got the business line aspects, and then we've got the actual, if you will call it, business member benefits that are all part of the bundle, if you will. But any business can access any or all of these benefits for their $99 that they spend to join.
That's a pretty modest investment, and you're ticking lots of boxes. Jeff, I'm sure there's lots of people that are thinking, okay, I need more information on this. We're going to bring up your contact information for your team at CA Business. It's right there. So you can go to caabusiness.ca. You can email business at CAA North and East, CAANEO. I can't even read the screen, .ca, and there's a phone number, 855-423-1514. And we got the email right there. Jeff, that brings us to the end of the show. You've done a great job. Thank you for this offering. I think you've thought about it very carefully. You're trying to solve lots of different problems in one very convenient, affordable membership. Nice job.
Thank you very much. And we look forward to hearing from any or all of you here on this podcast today. And talk to Lauren, talk to Rebecca on our team, and hopefully there's something there for you.
Yeah. And if you're at TD Place, when I think about you guys, I think about your brilliant office, by the way, at Lansdowne Park, overlooking. I know the football season's over, but there's still lots of events. In fact, there's a women's playoff game happening this Sunday. So
this Sunday, it's the men's Canadian Premier League Championship game. It's Atletico. They're playing against Calgary in the finals this Sunday.
Yeah, super cool. So, and you'll see the beautiful CA office right there. I don't think you're open on Sundays, but pop by during regular business hours, or better yet, reach out to them on. Thanks, Jeff, for joining us. Really appreciate all your time today. Hope to see you real soon.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
All right. Before we wrap up, let me remind you that you can visit obj.ca website every day for the latest and local business news. I highly recommend you subscribe to OBJ Today. This is a weekday email newsletter, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This email has been in existence since 1999, believe it or not. And there are almost 10,000 local business leaders that rely on that email newsletter to get their daily business news. I know you're thinking, I don't need another email. Don't worry. It's a summary. You can summarize it. be informed, and it's very time efficient. Of course, you can follow us on social media, recommend our LinkedIn channel. I think we've got about 42,000 followers there. And if you're on YouTube, do yourself a favor, just click the red subscribe button and the little bell icon. And whenever we're live like this or posting another video, you'll get notified. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you real soon. Cheers, everyone.